Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Well, my microphone looks like it's working. So I think you should be able to hear me. Okay, so you have a mic issue. That's fine. So maybe someone else will join. I don't know. I pinged guys in Prague. Maybe they will be able to join. Maybe Anis here could join. I don't know. He kind of suggested the introductory meetings, and for that, I think it would make sense to explain the agenda, even though we don't have many people. I'll try to maybe create a page here for meetings. Yeah, so the Notion is something where I try to document everything. And yeah, for this meeting, I think we'll have recording. So right now it's streaming on YouTube and on Twitch. It's not like I'm gonna interact with anyone there, but I will be able to reuse the link for the recording. And for that, I'll try to kind of paste all of the meetings in some page for anyone to be able to, retroactively go through them. Okay, so company meetings.
Hello, good day. Can you hear me now?
Yep. Welcome.
Thanks. How are you doing?
Good, and ready to answer questions, but
Okay.
Agenda for let's say V1 was to maybe do some introductions, maybe go through the vision of or even, I don't know, the history and why we're doing something, a vision of what it will look like in the end, and then maybe some practical stuff if you need like tasks or like some features. We'll probably go in depth in some way, but yeah, features and tasks and so forth. But this vision, oh my god, everything is hanging now that I'm streaming. So the vision is not only for the product, but also for the organization or the company. Like, it's kind of weird to talk about this at this phase when I'm kind of only me and you, but ideally what it would like to grow into. Org wise. Okay, so for the introductions, I'm a software engineer. Been working for it maybe 20 years. I was in just website development at first. Then I started working on more focused products that would last like a year. Then I was at PyDrive for 5 years, where I kind of learned more scalability, and just observed how unicorn level company operates. And now I'm in Clarify, which is like AI platform. And from that, I kind of thought, so it's a kind of generic platform that anyone can use for AI detections, and I'm trying to apply it for bees, because I became a beekeeper like 5 years ago, and that's where this project kind of grew out of. Maybe you can talk about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Ahmed. I'm a Moroccan. I'm graduating this summer, June, as a data scientist, data engineer. So as the experience I had 3 internships so far. The first one was like just Java development, something like that, some sort of products for companies. I worked inside a team. I worked like just to write the assessment report at the end, just a general view of the project. And that lasted about 2 months, the summertime. And the second year, another internship was basically about data analysis and how to generate reports basically based on traffic, based on ads, Google ads, meta basically data, some stuff like that. So, the app is open source in my GitHub profile. It's basically you input your keys, they're basically private, your accounts, meta account, that include all the accounts, Facebook and Instagram, others, and you can analyze the data based on the traffic, ads, and all that stuff. So basically, there were many details and specifications of the company I give that product to, and that was that. And this year, since it's in my graduation year, we have this system that you start internship not just in the summer, but you start at the mid of the year. So I've started in February 2024, of course, this year, inside a company that works with audio development, IRP for companies, customizations, databases, and integrations. So I worked in the customization of payroll, Moroccan payroll, which is the newest feature in the latest version of Odoo, which is the Odoo 17 version. And I made the customization for the Moroccan payroll, based on all the available data information, all the fiscal system, the legal system, that basically aligned with the Moroccan legal system, so everything can be complied with the solution. Yeah, and that was it. This is basically the product I just finished basically this month, and I'm finally writing the report so I can sum everything up, make it much more organized and so on, for me to graduate this summer, hopefully with a good grade. Yeah, so basically this is the general overview of my background. And also, beside all these experiences, the academic experience that I have, where I studied many different subjects, different from databases and technical stuff and functional stuff, AI, a little bit here and there, computer vision, ML, all that stuff, but just in theory, I hadn't had a chance to just apply what I've learned so far, but the idea is there, and the motivation is there basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can imagine. When I graduated, I also had, like, in university, the variety of languages. Like at that time, we
Mm-hmm.
we had a woman explaining stuff in Pascal. The guy
Yeah.
was showing us Java. Another guy was showing Visual Basic, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mixing,
I was coding
mixing
in
everything
PHP.
together, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was when I was graduating, I was kind of picking just PHP because that was the only job offer that
Mm-hmm.
I got at that time, and then kind of slowly went from PHP to Node.js to Go to now a little bit of Python. So you mentioned
Yeah.
Java as well. What else
Mm-hmm.
do you write in?
Oh
I think
yeah. So
PH
yeah.
Python.
So Python, Java, PHP as you mentioned, but not really because we haven't used it much. Uh, of course, JavaScript, React, CSS, Bootstrap, HTML, all that stuff. Um, Sometimes here and there I can, develop some XML files, something like that.
Mhm.
The latest projects in Odoo, we needed to use a combination between JavaScript and XML files to just configure many things.
Mhm.
Yeah, so this is the overview
Mhm.
of languages.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, like with Chat GPT, now it's much easier to uh,
To yeah, get
create
into everything.
prototypes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's maybe go through the vision for not
Mhm.
only for you, maybe for others who will watch the recording.
Of course.
Yeah. So the when I try to pitch it to investors, I go to this page basically, which sums up um, why
Hmm.
and how and what is going to be built. So, like
Hmm.
in short, we help beekeepers. This is quite a like large audience, and investors
Yeah.
don't typically like that. They want to focus on a more specific audience. So
Okay.
initially, when I was like here, I was thinking, okay, I'm a very novice beekeeper. I don't have much experience. I have only like 5 beehives, 7 beehives at that time, and I thought,
Hmm.
okay, someone like me, I want to target the audience of hobby beekeepers. But over time, I kind of pivoted because I talked to other experienced beekeepers here in Tallinn. There are communities, and they point out that like it's very way too small of a audience who will
Yeah.
not likely pay because
Hmm.
they like it's just maybe some granddad or like old people that maybe have
They have to.
two
Yeah.
beehives and that's it. So the
Okay.
pivot was more into industrial beekeepers. I
Hmm.
still want to help hobby beekeepers. It's just that we need to somehow make it commercially viable to stay afloat and pay like employees and develop
Yeah.
stuff because the products and the services will basically cost money. You need to compare who is going to pay for this. So that's the
Hmm.
thinking. So for investors, I created this PDF file where I try to explain what we're doing, what are the problems. But in Notion, I go much more in depth on the problems, and this is the pitch that I was a beekeeper, and I first just wanted to uh, increase like amount of apples I get,
Hmm.
and then I got the bees, and I like them because they're cute, and I don't want them to be killed because then I go into problems. Um,
Yeah.
so for investors, they need to see how do they get their money back. And here the key thing is food security, which means just growing more food. The farmers, they are the ones paying the money. So in the US, there is a nice video where farmers basically pay beekeepers to get pollination. So if farmers just have a field without any pollinators, they have like mediocre results. If they get bees near their fields, the crops are like they get much, like 30% more yields. So they get more money basically as well when they sell their food, and the food itself is also more rich in flavor, let's say. So that is the key problem, like we're trying to fix. That's where the money flows, because beekeepers, when they offer these services, they get 9 times more money than just by getting and selling honey. So if they just sell honey, that's, let's say, 1,000 euros. If they offer farmers their help, they will get 10,000 in total.
Okay, I see.
So that's the business model. And then we're kind of going into the traditional problem that when you're trying to be a beekeeper, you understand that you need to take care of bees so they don't die. And they are very, they tend to die quite often. Like the probability is very high because they can starve, they can lose a queen, they can swarm, basically split in half and fly away. And most importantly, they get sick because of infestation. So like varroa mite infestation is like small beetles that kill the colony. Those are main problems. And the second thing is just efficiency. So why we want a robot is to automate that. You don't want to inspect it manually all the time. You just set it and forget it, and you get the data automatically. And then it goes more into so industrial beekeepers. It's they have over 20 beehives. In Canada, they have some beekeepers that have 1,000 of beehives. So you can imagine they cannot work even alone. They hire a team of volunteers that will help to lift boxes and inspect bees. And they don't spend that much time inspecting. They just look through frames very quickly if there are issues, and that's it. They will squish bees pretty much all the time there. It's kind of chaos when that happens. So the solution is so because I'm from software engineering, I don't have that much background in robotics. I started with the web app. And then the idea is that, okay, so we make a software, the web app is already out there, and we connect some hardware to it. So this way we first basically automatically get regular beekeepers to use the app, and then as we kind of sell the hardware, the industrial beekeepers will use it as well. So that is the idea. And then there is the slides for basically what I was talking about. So first is the problem with pollination, then the human worker efficiency, and the bees that get sick. And the vision is that, okay, so the app does some kind of AI image recognition, and you can manage and model your hives. And then as we go into devices, so hardware, this is what I was trying to do this summer. And this was just a prototype. I was trying to learn basically if I can move these actuators, so some motors with the software.
Yeah.
I could, but I didn't continue working on it myself. I tried to focus on the first steps.
Okay. Yeah. I see.
And here the robot is gonna be, well, the idea was just focus, make something work for at least a single hive, and then make it more efficient, so it doesn't cost like a car. You can make it cheap, and it can serve multiple beehives. That's this
Okay.
next step.
So yeah, basically the hardware is just gonna monitor the beehives. Is that right? Just monitor the temperature and the humidity, if anything, right? Or there's some sort of different other components or devices they are including.
So this robot is going to move these frames out, take a photo,
Okay.
and upload it to the app. So
I see.
So basically, back to this view. Right now, I'm just taking photos manually, and it's not very comfortable because you need a photo, like a camera. You need to put it on a tripod when you inspect bees, and every time you like lift a frame, you take a photo, you turn it, you take a photo, and then you come back, upload these files. You can theoretically you can use the phone, but it's just like you don't have that much dexterity because you're in gloves, you have a suit on. It's hard to operate the phone. So if a robot would do this automatically, it solves multiple problems, including if it's urban area, like I live in the city basically, and my neighbors are 10 meters away. Like if robot can do it silently within some closed box, he just sends me the photos or maybe even video, and I would just look at it at home.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
So the team, I already put your photo here. I already put the photos of these two guys from Prague as well. I'm not sure they would agree, but basically I talked with Simon. He's the researcher. He was doing or publishing a lot of these AI detections on bees with Adam. So I have a page for just dedicated to listing all of the research materials, and as I was researching, I stumbled upon their papers, and they also have a hardware as well, which is based on Raspberry Pi, and it's kind of very optimized for, like, it uses batteries. My solution is like relying on a cable, like electric cable, so it's not as good as theirs, but yeah, it's like pros and cons with every hardware. With my hardware, the approach at the moment is more powerful GPU, but it costs more. So I'm not confident. I'm not confident this is the right approach yet, Maybe in the future we will switch to a more cheaper device. It depends on the market. If we talk to beekeepers and they will say, no, we're not gonna buy it because it costs too much, maybe we would go to a cheaper approach. Yeah, you had a question.
Yeah. Just you mentioned the GPU. Do you mean like when the robot takes the picture, they already processed there inside the robot?
Yes. So
okay.
So here I have NVIDIA Jetson Orin, which is like 500 euros.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not that cheap, but basically it's a computer which is so tiny and with a GPU, so you can run AI inference on it, and video inference. I have a cheaper NVIDIA Jetson Nano, which is maybe 250 euros, but it's weaker in terms of GPU. I have that attached to Hive, and it sends streams a video at the moment.
Okay, I see.
Okay, so I can continue with the rest, or do you have any more questions?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so the pricing model I was thinking is for beekeepers that are just hobby and they just start. You come at the website, you register. We would offer a free tier. So up to some point, you can use limited functionality for free. It helps those just beekeepers that start out. They have a couple of beehives and they're not sure they want to pay a lot, so they can stay on this tier. And then if you have a bit more beehives, you can get more features if you pay a subscription fee, that's a flat subscription fee. And if you have more, I need to go to some page here where I have this in details. But basically, yeah, if you have more beehives and you want more features like analytics, you would pay already per beehive. So this kind of allows for us to get even more money than just a flat price, and also focus on these professional beekeepers.
I see.
And then if you buy robots, the robots themselves would cost as well. And theoretically, you could use them independently. Like you just buy a robot and maybe you don't pay for the app. But then it would be like the beekeeper would need to know how to code, and it would be like his responsibility basically. So we could build some kind of nice UI inside of the robotic beehive screen or something that you would come and click. But I didn't think that deep into it yet.
Okay.
Now, if you start thinking about the market, that's what investors like to understand who's going to buy this. So as I explained before, the industrial beekeepers, and that's, you define that if you have over 20 beehives, then I would consider already you as a industrial beekeeper. You would want to buy a robot, and usually if you have so many beehives, you likely sell honey, and that means you likely already have a business entity. So this is a business to business type of customer, and they tend to be kind of reliable and they have money. Addressable market. So I'm in Estonia at the moment. So like I was looking at our local statistics. We have a government registry which lists how many even beekeepers we have. So we have like 6,000 apiaries, which is like a group of beehives. Doesn't mean like there are so many beekeepers, but it kind of shows how many locations on a map you can have. And then there are other statistics that show that 60% of beekeepers are basically industrial beekeepers. So the target audience. And then I found some other statistics that show that, okay, in Europe we have like 600,000 beekeepers. And in the world, there are, I think, 2 million beekeepers in general. And 100 colonies. So there is some market. I try to roughly have some numbers for investors and where beekeepers tend to live in which countries, and how we would like evolve. And for investors, I also ask for the money. They give us money. We can use it for research and development, to pay salaries, that kind of stuff. And for you, maybe the interesting part is there are existing competitors. So there is already a robot which does all of this. They're based in Israel. Yeah, so this also helps investors to understand that it's not a fantasy. You can actually build this, and they got a lot of money as investments. There is another Israel startup which isn't building a robot, but they put some devices inside of the beehives, and they also got a crazy amount of investments. There are a bunch of Australian devices that count bees at the entrance. There is one in Germany and in US. So it's like evolving. Basically, the steps I drew, the web app, then the counter at the entrance, and then the robot, it's already present out there. So I'm just taking what already exists. Of
course,
Then the software, there are a lot of apps which allow you to organize your beehive. So this is competitors for the web app. And then the IoT that I mentioned. So this Israeli startup, they put this small device inside of the beehive, and I think they use audio, like they listen what's happening inside. There are also open source apps in Netherlands. They also model the beehive, and they measure the weight, which is, like, if you think about it, is a way to get the information about the hive without going inside, and it's pretty cheap, like 300-400 euros maybe. But you don't have any visual information. You don't see any mites. You don't see what is the status of your queen there, of brood. You don't have that much analytics. So all of these, they tend to send this analog data, and we likely also need this. So the robot, like, it complements and gives some information as well. But I was initially focusing on just visual. So the telemetry API, I think you were looking at that. That's the basic interface. So the idea was that even if you buy some side, the device from the side, and you put it for your beehive, maybe we could integrate it as well into the web app, so it would send the telemetry data, and you could convert it somehow and observe it from our app. Because mostly they are very closed source, and you're kind of tied to let's say Broodminder. If you buy it, you also get a web app, and that's it. You cannot really extract this data in some readable format for yourself. If you use multiple devices, that's it. So open source is that's why I went open source, and also because AI models are also tend to be open source, and they require you to be open source as well.
Okay. When do you think you're gonna make it more like a closed source app? Maybe when you start to really make it private, your own. You think when investors start to give money or something like that?
I wouldn't want to switch to open source, to closed source. I would want to keep everything open source as much as possible. I even created a page somewhere. We have a FAQ, and I try to explain why it's a good thing. Because if I would want to be let's say if I'm an engineer and I'm considering joining the company, I want to see what code do they have. Maybe I won't like it. Open source is actually a way to hire people, because your work will be seen by everyone. Like you put on your LinkedIn page that you worked for Gratheon, and anyone can basically open the source and they can see your contributions. So that is a way to motivate people that the legacy will live on. And for other like there are companies which are also open source, but they make money, so it's a viable viable way. You just need to be, I don't know how to say it, just about this. So people contribute to the app, other people use the app. So yeah, you can fork it theoretically. Beekeeper can fork it, try to install it locally. It's just a hassle to keep it up to date, I think, because you need your own infrastructure. You need to maintain so many services. It's you need to back up things. It's much easier, I think, just to pay 15 euros a month and forget about it. So that is the that's the thinking about this. All right, what else should I go through? Problems of beekeepers that we're kind of trying to solve. I have this list. So yeah, observability, pollination, physical labor. So robotics helps with these labors things.
Yeah.
And the problems I also try to link to the solutions and ideas. So if you have an idea how the app or the robot can like work better or something, or then we just put the idea in the list. We can like discuss it, groom it, add more details, prioritize it, and put it under some billing plan, which makes sense. And this will try to solve some specific problem that beekeepers tend to have. Yeah. And so if you're a developer, you you're not sure what you want to like work on. I've been in companies where you come in and basically a manager just hands you a task, and that's it. You don't have that much freedom to choose. Here, I just try to lay out so a lot of different features, and you can basically pick any of them. But if you want to make an impact, so that we move faster, you just look at what are the priorities, and
sure.
Priorities are set here in grooming, which means that so you look at the features, and then and you set an effort, and you set an impact. So effort is your evaluation, how hard this is going to be for you to implement, and the impact is just how useful it is for the beekeepers, basically for the customers. So you set these two numbers, they multiply, and they divide, I think. So impact divided by the effort is the priority, and then you just sort by priority, and you see which are the easiest to implement but the highest impact features. That was the idea. Yeah, and then you can like put it on a roadmap. If we have someone who's dedicated to work on this, then on a roadmap we can plan ahead that someone will deliver this feature in a month or something like that. But it's too early for me to do that. So as an example, let's say so counting bees, that was the idea I wanted to work on, and it's high impact, relatively medium complexity, and it is somewhat tied to telemetry API. It is part of the entrance counter device and the billing. Verticality means that it's like a vertical feature, which is just a way of thinking that some features are horizontal, meaning they impact product everywhere, but just a little bit. Like keyboard shortcuts. Keyboard shortcuts you can put on any web app like Vue, and you can use them somehow, but they're not directly impacting the product that the customer sees. And the vertical ones are the like some specific features. That's just a way to how to think about this. Yeah, and then I try to explain what is the goal. So I just want to count bees at the entrance, and send this information to the app. And then some things are kind of out of scope, like hornet detection. It's also part of the same device. It's very close feature, but it's not part of this specific feature. Yeah, and then acceptance criteria means like just to clarify what is expected of this task or feature. So there is some device with a GPU, so like this NVIDIA Jetson, and it should be able to, like, given a video stream or a video file, it counts how many bees have gone through some line, and then it sends the results to like telemetry API, which you try to like work on. And these suggested solutions I found, there is the YOLO model, which does this. There is the repository, which a guy from Germany worked on, which I forked, and it works. But with both cases, I have some issues. Just specifically for like making it work on a Jetson hardware device. I'm struggling with
so it's hardware compatibility issue.
Yeah, like on the device you can run Docker, and it's hard for me at least to connect host machine, so GPU with on this Jetson with this Docker virtualization layer and the image.
Okay.
And have it work. I didn't. Basically, I tried initially. I ran it with CPU. It worked. It produced me a video with those counts, but it took so much time. Like 10-second video took me maybe a minute to inference. And the second problem is for the YOLO V8, I need some custom weights for bees, because the bees that I use on inside the web app to just if you have an image just to count bees, that's V5 format, so it's not compatible. I cannot use it. So just an example of a feature and how this is kind of working.
Okay, interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, so basically every device has its own running Docker in it, and you put collected the images and the videos, and then it's sent it to the central database, right? To a central database, or maybe it's in every device. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe I should open the architecture. Yep. In GitHub there is the like web app. I tried to document it because it's not only for everyone, it's also for me, because I tend to forget how things are connected together. So the architecture is somewhere here. Okay, it's for some reason not really displaying it. I think I had it copied into engineering somewhere. I think it times out because my computer right now is so slow because of streaming. But under engineering, I created onboarding document for any like engineer who wants to start working on it.
In which repo? In the website web app repo? Right.
In Notion, there is the
Notion.
Yeah, okay. Under engineering. So over here, there is the onboarding. And yeah, basically you need Linux or Mac. Maybe on Windows you can also develop. I don't know which one. How do you work?
Yeah, I'm using Linux.
Okay.
I'm using Linux.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So MySQL, Redis, and GraphQL. Okay.
Yep.
Databases.
I can explain like any part you like. But.
So I'm just interested in basically my part, because I just need to understand how it works. So basically, the device that is inside the beehive is taking pictures, videos, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And where does these pictures go to? Do they stay on the device in some sort of storage, or they are sent to another database?
Good question. Because I don't have a robot yet, so I cannot really
Oh
say
yeah.
how it works. It doesn't, but you can imagine just a computer which sends images or videos to the API that we will provide.
Yeah.
And that's where the GraphQL comes in. It's an API. It's a protocol.
Okay.
I can maybe pick the this Beehive entrance video processor repo that I was working on recently, and maybe show how that works. It's very raw at the moment. I was not sure if I would write it in Go or in Python or something else. So it's in Python at the moment. I was so the service is basically sending videos, uploading videos, and it can use CSI cameras, which are like Raspberry Pis, small ones, or USB, which I'm using at the moment. So how it works is, maybe I won't go into actual code here, but basically it records a camera, puts it into a local file system, and then it, in a separate stream, it tries to upload. So you're interested more in the API part and GraphQL.
Yeah.
So this is the client. The client, so let's say web app is a browser single page application. It also uses GraphQL. It uses also GraphQL client. So the Python here, it sends video to this endpoint, and in GraphQL they have a concept of queries and mutations. So a query is just like reading data, and mutation is something that you change. And like I would encourage you first to like read on GraphQL.
It's a new notion to me. Just getting the grasp of it, you know. Or, sure, of course.
Yep. So there are different types of APIs. The REST API is one. GraphQL is another. There is gRPC is a third one, which is like using protobufs. And yeah, I picked GraphQL because it's in a way more efficient than REST, but it's not as strict as gRPC. So basically, mutation is something that you change. You can name it, and you can set arguments that you use. So in this case, it says that this mutation uses a file and a box ID, and then you set types of like which type is this. So it uses some kind of upload type and ID type. So this is a string, and this is probably some kind of binary thing. And then you say, okay, so the mutation here is just your specific request name, but this is actually the mutation on the server side. And then you pass the variables. Variables are basically these So these are placeholders, and then the actual values go in here. Yeah.
Okay.
So here it will read the file and will try to upload it basically. And there is some timeout.
Okay.
The rest of it is like regular HTTP. It's just a way to say that okay, you're doing a mutation, and to understand how does the API looks like. You go to the website. There is a like API, I would say reference maybe.
Yeah, sure. I'm going to check it. Yeah, okay.
So here on the bottom.
So it's going to be developed in Python, no? Or in another language, JavaScript, no? What do you think?
Well, this is a client, and the client is just sending data. So sending data can be pretty much in any language, I would say. I try to limit the tech stack. Tech stack, I would like that we stick at least maximum to 3 languages. Otherwise, it's gonna be hard.
JavaScript. Okay, yeah. So it's basically Python, JavaScript, and
Go, yeah.
And Go.
We could try maybe Rust if there is a robot that needs to be very stable, and C++ is not very modern anymore, or C. We could try Rust for low-level operations. But yeah, to answer your question, Python probably can serve GraphQL, but I need to explain you the concept of GraphQL Federation for you to be able to write a server if you want it to be in Python.
Okay, I'm gonna check. Yeah.
So this is the playground. So basically a documentation. How do you use GraphQL? Like I said, on the bottom in the app, you can click to go to this API reference page if you're logged in and registered. So here you can make queries to our backend, and it will answer. And here you can see the schema. So basically everything you can work with on the API. So if I look at back here in the mutation, this upload gate video is a mutation, which I hope is here. Yep. So there is this list of all of the mutations you can do against the server. And there are also queries you can ask.
It's really efficient.
Yeah. So this is the list of queries. So the web app, when it loads a list of apiaries, it uses this thing. When it wants to view a specific beehive, it can pick a hive, and this is the type. So you pass some arguments that give me a hive ID number 3, and it will answer you in type hive. So hive consists or carries some files, some boxes. It's tied to some family. It has an amount of boxes and amount of inspections, that kind of stuff. So when you create, so if you want to create a telemetry API, you create a service which needs to register what schema it will be able to serve.
Okay.
Because this schema that you see here it's already joined together. It's not a single service that is responsible for all of this. It's like multiple services are responsible for some of this schema. And when you combine it together, this is called federation.
Okay. So basically the user can choose which schema he wants to have to define the data, right?
A backend engineer can decide where do you add this particular schema. So I'll show you maybe on
Okay.
on the web app diagram if I can. Maybe here in the diagram. Yeah, so here on the diagram, this shows the request in general. So the web app makes request to a GraphQL router service, which you can also open. Or you can navigate it through these links. GraphQL router is pretty dumb. It just forwards the request further. It checks that you're authenticated, and that's it. So it forwards the request, but it's also smart in a sense that it can forward requests to multiple services.
Okay.
So if you create a telemetry API, GraphQL router will forward request to telemetry API if user asked for something that is served by telemetry API. So if you create, let's say, a mutation register B count, and user asks for a user, basically a device that sends a request. It says, okay, register B count. It goes into this router. Router sees, oh, this mutation actually belongs to telemetry API, and it forwards it to you. If it's so I would advise to look at, let's say, image splitter service. And how it works. As an example, I have the schema over here. So schema.graphql under image splitter. This is basically part of that schema that you saw before in the playground. So it's a very small portion of total schema, which is owned by this image splitter. So here you can see that it has only a little bit of queries and a little bit of mutations.
Okay.
And it just says, okay, I am responsible for like getting a single file, or maybe Beehive files, or something related to files, basically. And and if you upload a photo, yeah, I'm also responsible for uploading a photo. I'll process it and that kind of stuff. But I don't know anything about beehives, or like the types are not really here. It will be merged later on somewhere in the GraphQL router. But yeah, so you define the schema that is part of this kind of federation, and then you need to register it. So I understand it may seem a little bit complex, like why, but it makes it easier in the future, because your services are kind of small and independent. You don't cram everything in a huge monolith, and so it's a microservice architecture. And how it works, like you define that schema, and then you register it in schema registry, and that works. maybe a bit too many concepts for this time, but you can rewatch it on YouTube, and then maybe it will be easier.
Of course. Yeah, I'm gonna check it. Sure.
So image splitter, it defined that GraphQL schema, and it needs to register it in the schema registry. So this is the schema registry client, which is, just a HTTP request to a schema registry saying that here is my schema, that GraphQL file that you saw before. Please register it. And then maybe I'll open some database. Oops. So if I'm on localhost and I open a schema registry, so that's a separate service. It registers the schema also in the database, like that. And it knows which service basically registered it. So it knows that there is an image splitter service, and it has some schema, and it's available on this address. So it's a Dockerized internal Docker network address. So when GraphQL router asks from schema registry which services do we have, what are their schemas, it tries to merge it, combine it together for actual traffic. So once it has it, it knows that, okay, files go to image splitter, user data goes to user cycle, some kind of plant information is in PlantNet, and your regular beehive and apiaries and frames, they live in this Swarm API, which is written in Go. Weather data is somewhere here. So this way it kind of efficiently sends information, and when it gets results, it stitches them together. So it can make requests in parallel, in sequence. Like this GraphQL is kind of advanced in that sense, but it may be a bit overwhelming at first.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm gonna check it out and see where it can get me. And yeah. So basically the client, so maybe the machine, of course, needs to be registered before we make this request possible, and before it can make this request. Is that right? There's a condition to access this GraphQL feature, right? Or is it just generally speaking available?
I'm not sure I understood the question. So if you write, let's say, telemetry API, you define a schema. You define a schema that, okay, I have these queries, and the query, so first you need a mutation that, okay, register, let's say, a new temperature change or a humidity change. And okay, you create a mutation, you put it in, you define it in the schema file, then you write this HTTP request to schema registry that, okay, please register a new schema. And then basically that's it. Like, as long as GraphQL router can access the service, if it's registered in here, it has a own port, it has a schema, it will route mutations and queries that belong to your service to you, and you can you should be able to test it from similarly looking playground.
Okay.
I'm now afraid that it may be too complex initially, but over time these types help a lot, because you, like with REST, the problem is you create these separate endpoints, and initially it's nice and simple, but later on you start duplicating things. So like you have endpoints which become so nested, and they repeat same information, and it's not very efficient. With this thing, because you define these types, so what exactly you're returning, you can be quite efficient at defining how do you load the information. So let's say if you have a frame, the function which gives this information to the user, it can be pretty smart that, okay, I'll load these properties from database in a single request, and these are, I don't know, from another microservice or something. So you can be very efficient, and if user requested only these 3 properties, it won't do this extra work of fetching things.
Yeah.
With the rest of the API, it's not really possible.
I see. So is there an overview what type of data that we need to populate the database, and maybe the type of data that we going to be received on the devices? Is there an overview of that?
I think I so like if we talk in general, I was experimenting with videos. The robot will likely send those images, but I already have like API to upload an image. It should be fairly like reusable. But for telemetry, yeah, I tried to document it under this feature that so like telemetry was more for time series databases.
Okay.
So yeah, I wrote that. Okay, what would make sense if this robot measures temperature inside, it sends temperature, humidity, and this is like how frequently it will do this.
Okay. Every 10 seconds, and you configure these intervals inside the Grafana database, right? The interface. Grafana.
In Grafana, you can choose how, like the interval.
Yeah, you can choose. So it's in there. It's not elsewhere.
Yes, but it's not. It's quite kind of not the same. Like in Grafana is just reading this data and aggregating, like combining it so that it can draw a graph. And that interval, you kind of ask that draw me for last 1 hour the points and connect them. But these are I wanted just to set some kind of interval that we will send temperature value every 10 minutes. We probably don't need like per second, every second the temperature. It won't change that fast, right? But let's say for the bee counts on the beehive entrance, we can send it pretty frequently. And I'm not sure, like it needs
to make it live in a sense.
Yeah, it's not really. I'm not really sure yet. Maybe we'll send audio by itself, so it needs experimentation. So we need to build the actual beehive,
of course,
and connect it, and then it will be more clear. Yeah. So So that
I'm
was...
going to use the data that is documented. Okay.
Yeah, you did already some work. I was kind of pleasantly surprised. I tried Grafana. I tried that. What's it called? Influx. With Grafana, the idea was that.
Is it going to be integrated inside the web app, or is it going to be separate? Right.
I wanted to, like, it would be like an iframe. It would be nice to have it fully integrated,
okay.
But I don't know how.
That's okay. This would be a good idea to do it. Yeah.
Okay, well, it's pretty slow. I'm not sure. Basically, on top of the menu, there will be like analytics, and if you go there, you should be able to access as much as possible. It does require the beekeeper to be very like technically savvy and like advanced. He should know what he's doing. So I'm not that confident that it will sell. So we will probably need to duplicate graphs for not so smart beekeepers. So maybe like, you know, old people, they will see a simple graph somewhere inside the app. But if you're like a pro and tech advanced, you could use Grafana to mesh the functionality as much as you like and do research.
Okay. I see.
Yeah, but Grafana has its own database, and I was not sure how to synchronize user accounts. So that was one problem. The second problem is for Grafana to draw the graphs, it needs a data source, so that InfluxDB, but you need to somehow tie it together. So here I had analytics. In web app, it should be already kind of available if you run it locally. It will try to draw an iframe here. I just don't have Grafana running. But yeah, theoretically it could work. But the complexity was that you have InfluxDB and Grafana, and you need to somehow connect them. But how do you make it such that I, as a user,
automatic?
As a user A, I don't see information of user B. Like I shouldn't see credentials, anything like that.
Separate. Yeah.
So that was another problem that I was not sure how to solve yet.
I see.
Okay, and coming back to the vision or features. So in general, to reiterate, so the developing web app is kind of ongoing. I wanted to build a feature to share beehive information to other beekeepers, because we need to somehow grow the user base, and if I have a beehive, I have some. I just noticed that a lot of beekeepers, they send a photo of their beehives to someone else, and if we can, have a button, share my beehive, it would not only show you share the single photo, you could share the entire beehive state, which makes more sense than just a single photo.
Yeah, of course.
But it also requires so much time to work on everything. And the entrance observer, so I don't know if I mentioned, basically you can access a video from within. I don't know if you've seen that, but you can play back the video as well. So here I can share my current camera, start sort of streaming it, it will get stored somewhere in S3, and then I can play it back. But this was not for webcam usage by the user. It was for looking at the beehives.
Okay.
Okay, we're already like 1.5 hours into the meeting. I think we'll shortly end,
Yeah.
but yeah. So this is my beehive that I have at the moment outside, and this is the beehive entrance I tried to model, and the cameras were recording some of the traffic. I'm not the best designer, but yeah, this is I just tried to list last streams I had.
Yeah, sure.
And if it would have this bee counting, you could basically see it here, that how many bees have gone in, went out, and through that you understand, is there something happening to your beehive or not. Okay, so let's wrap it up. Do you have any more questions?
Yeah. No, I think let me just get into the Gratheon, get in to understand it and so on. It's good to see new stuff. This is what I wanted in the first place, to just integrate myself in the real world and to see how things actually work in a good big project like yours, which is really good opportunity for me to learn and to understand and to give.
Yeah, GraphQL community is pretty active. It was developed by Facebook. GitHub has a GraphQL API and a lot of others. So I think it will be useful for you to also show off to potential working places.
Yeah, appreciate it. Okay. So that's it. This is it, I think.
Okay. Thanks for joining. If you have questions, just write in chat. I'll try to have another session tomorrow if someone else joins, or if you will have more questions, and maybe we'll have.
How many developers are in the project?
It's hard to say.
Come and go.
Yes, people come and go. I mean, it's logical. It's volunteer work. First, I sent a link to our. In Estonia, they have this school for IT guys. Like, you don't need to be in real school or in a university. Basically, anyone can join this IT school. I sent it to them. I thought maybe they would be interested in learning, let's say, GraphQL or microservices or whatever, or robotics, or maybe they can teach. Some people joined, but they were just passively observing, thinking, should I code or not? And I was recruiting more people. Some are active, some are not. You were the most active so far.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah. Other guys in Prague, or I think they're in Brno, basically in Czechia. They did a lot of research before me. They have a device, like I mentioned, with this Raspberry Pi, and they have a repo for in Python, which does some bee counting as well. So I was recruiting them, and now I'm tomorrow I'll be on. We have a local investing conference, so I'm trying to also connect investors to potentially fund this. Because volunteer work is one thing, but also getting paid is more motivating people. So,
yeah, of course.
Okay, so write in chat if you have any questions, and see you soon.
Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a good evening.